insurance in one way, shape, or form. You know, I know there's been a lot of talk, and many of us have been criticized for saying, talking about illegal aliens and their roles here, but you know, the fact is, you read the bill, you look at the bill, and nobody can tell me that illegal aliens are not going to be able to access this insurance, have mandatory coverage through the exchange. And I just find that, you know, reprehensible that, again, we're going to ask hard-working taxpaying Americans to subsidize illegal aliens. In fact, we could talk about immigration reform, which may be the next issue chugging down the pike. There is actually a couple of Republicans in the Senate, Lindsey Graham, actually he may be the only one, he's trying to find some others, who are looking for amnesty for illegal aliens, which I just think is unbelievable. You know, I think that we ought to take a look at ending birthright citizenship if we wanted to truly get a handle on this. But those are tough decisions that not a lot of politicians want to make. I guess the answer is this. They recognize that if they don't defer some of the program until after the president is reelected, he may have a tough time doing so. And my guess is he may have a tough time doing so either way. But here again, if we're paying the taxes, we're not going to see the impact of this, though, until 2014. Yes, sir.
So what I wanted to ask you was...
Would you stand up, though,
yes,
because so everybody can hear. Thanks.
The Department of Health and Human Services, which is what Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, I believe, all fall under. That is the single most expensive expenditure we have in our government. It consumes about $800 billion a year. Yes. All three of those programs are in the red. Right. And I was just wondering, what do you think we as a nation should do to correct those problems?
I think that is a great point, and it's most appropriate coming from a young man, because the truth of the matter is this is the Titanic, and there are icebergs ahead. And rather than shifting course, we're putting more deck chairs on top of this thing. We've talked about earmarks, and earmarks need to go by the wayside. But the truth is, earmarks are just a sliver of the problem. Medicare, Medicaid, and certainly Social Security is where is taking us down to financial ruin. Now, if you didn't know this, when Social Security was first introduced, there were 16 workers for every recipient. And as you probably know, we don't send our money to Washington and keep it in a little box and give it back to us when we retire. It really takes from today's workers and gives to today's retiree, and that cycle's over. Well, instead of 16 workers, it just recently changed from 3 workers down to 2 workers. So now there are 2 people working, contributing that money and going to pay for a retiree. Social Security works. I don't want to throw it out the window. I want to fix it. But I know what we have to do to fix it is to understand that for those people who are today 55 years and older, the system should stay as it is. We have to live up to our obligation. But if you're under 55, or whatever that number might be, we have to find ways where you can take a part of that retirement set aside and put that into a basket of options in the private side so that that money can grow as it should in the private sector. I know I'll get criticized, you know, Social Security is the third rail of politics and privatizing Social Security. Well, I can tell you, when I worked in Washington on the Hill as a senior staffer on the Appropriations Committee and with former Congressman Joe Nolenberg, we had, the federal government had choices. You pick from A, B, or C, depending on your risk tolerance level, right? We could do the same sort of thing on a national basis to ensure that there is retirement security funds available without perpetuating a system that is actuarially bankrupt. Medicare, you know, the same sort of thing. I mean, I think we have to look at an age cutoff and begin to do things differently for those who are under the age of at least 55 so that we can sustain that program into the future. Medicaid, which is the federal government's payment back to the states in order to provide health coverage for for indigent and others, is also taken off. In fact, I will tell you that in the health care bill, there is a $500 million obligation now in the state of Michigan under the passage of the Obama bill. So Lansing, now, of course, the next 10 years, got to figure out where to get $500 million more money. Well, folks, they can't even balance their books today in Lansing. And how they're going to add this additional Medicaid cost is beyond me. Except they're going to come to each and every one of you and say it's your duty, you're not being fair, you know, all this kind of thing. We've got to redistribute the wealth. Folks, that doesn't fly. But those are the 3 essential items. And those are the things, frankly, you know, if I had the opportunity to sit on the Budget Committee, roll up my sleeves and work with my friend Paul Ryan and others, I think we can come forward. He's done a great job. In fact, I would refer you to something called the Roadmap for the Future, www, the Roadmap for the Future. It is a plan that talks about some of these issues, and I think he's pretty close to the mark. Yes, sir.